Virginia smoke. OVS, Old Virginia smoke. OVS, Old Virginia smoke. OVS, Old Virginia smoke. Old Virginia.
My name is Luke Darnell, Pitmaster of Old Virginia Smoke Barbecue, and I'm here to tell you about my new online class available at barbecuechamps.com. This is a 100% tell-all competition barbecue class from yours truly, available online. It is a masterclass with 34 high-definition tell-all online competition barbecue videos that can be watched anytime, and they do not expire. They are packed full of pro tips, techniques, and recipes that will show you how to take your barbecue to the next level. These 34 barbecue cooking videos total 7 hours and will show you everything that you need to take your competition cooking to a level that you never thought was possible. We've already heard from several teams that have bought our classes and have already seen success and gotten their first calls. So this is something that brings me a lot of joy in sharing my knowledge and seeing people be successful with it. So are you ready to take your competition and backyard cooking to the next level? What are you waiting for? Just go ahead and go to barbecuechamps.com and find Luke Darnell, Old Virginia Smoke. We hope you learn a lot and enjoy these videos and have as much fun cooking these recipes as we had making them. This podcast is brought to you by BarbecueData.com. BarbecueData.com is your one-stop shop for all of your barbecue competition data. Historical data, calls, wins, placements, everything under one roof. It's a great way not only to track yourself in the standings, but also to track how you improve your scores from year to year. Listeners of this podcast can receive 20% off of a new subscription to BarbecueData.com with the code PITPOD. That's one word, all capital letters, PITPOD, PITPOD. So check your team scores, check on others, and do it all on barbecuedata.com. Welcome to another edition of Pitmaster and Old Virginia Smoke Podcast. My name is Luke Darnell, your host and Pitmaster of Old Virginia Smoke, and we've got with us our running mate, Brian Corbett from Smokin Skullies. What up, big guy? How you doing?
What's going on, man? I'm glad to be here as always.
You've already fully transitioned into hunting season, haven't you?
I have. Yep. I have. Barbecue it's never like far off my mind, but it's definitely not at the forefront of my mind right now.
Understood. But we have a lot to discuss. I think this is the second year that we've done an end of year podcast together. Last year we had Steve Dotson from DQ'd on with us. He didn't cook this year at all, so it's just going to be me and you.
That's right.
Not quite sure where to even start. We really probably should start with. It was pretty much major season starting here in October. Started off with the Jack Daniels earlier in October. This was our second trip ever, and turned out to be a lot better than the first.
Yeah, you had a very consistent cook, it looked like. You think familiarity with the event and probably not getting lost in some of the first-time major championship hoopla helped with that?
100%. We knew what to expect this time. We knew how to behave. We knew what to watch for. And I think it really helped us, number one, have a better time. Number two, have a better cook. And number three, help people whose first time it was.
Okay.
I think that was a big deal for me going forward, is to make sure that people who were going for the first time really had a good time. Really enjoyed themselves and really focused on the things that supposed to focus on, and not to say that the judging is weird at the Jack, but the judging can be weird at the Jack. There can be a table that just absolutely decimates everyone that hits it. We hit it this year. But you can't let that discourage you. The Jack is the Jack, and it's a great time.
Well, and I think that statement can be said for all majors, all world championships. And a lot of times it's simply because the sheer of the size of it. You can go to the KCBS Invitational, the Jack, the American Royal Invitational, or the Open. I'm sure Houston is the same way, Memphis. When you got that many teams there, just because your score doesn't reflect what you thought your cook was, or you didn't finish as high as what maybe you're accustomed to finishing at more localized contests, doesn't mean you had a poor cook or you got judged poorly. You bring in the luck of the tables a lot of times when it comes to that. We bring it in every weekend anyway when we do this, but the more tables, the more that comes into play, I think.
Absolutely. We were fortunate enough to get our first call ever at the Jack Daniels, a second place chicken.
Got a barrelhead too, right?
Got a barrelhead. Got to walk the stage.
That's so cool.
That was a barbecue bucket list item, was to do that. And I'll never forget walking off the stage, and then they immediately stop you and have you fill out a W-9. And I'm like, how am I supposed to do this while I'm sitting here crying? I can't even see it.
Do you have waterproof ink?
Right. But just an overall great experience. We had a great group of people with us, Rick and Liz Hamilton, who come with us to most of the majors, and Mark Kenny from Barbecue Data was super helpful as well. And it was just a great trip, great weather, and a great time. But then we moved on to, I believe it was a week right after that, when we had the Royal Oak Invitational.
It was the weekend following the Jack. That's right. Yeah.
Weekend following the Jack. This is a very high dollar contest for all the Royal Oak sponsored teams.
Yep.
Which brings teams in from around the country.
Yep.
It's meat provided, correct?
It is. They provide the proteins for all 4 categories, and technically 5 categories because we do a steak contest on Friday as well. But yes, they provide the chicken. They do ask you if you cook thighs, legs, or wings. So they do get you what the cut that you're used to cutting. Then they provide the St. Louis cut spare ribs, the Boston butts, and the beef brisket. And it's a limited quantity that you get for each category. I know a lot of people, especially the barrel heads, as I call them, they like to cook 5, 6 Boston butts. They cut them down to collars a lot of times and whatnot, but they cook 5, 6, so they have a large selection. And this year and past years, the Royal Oak has always given us. I think this year I had 16 pieces of chicken, 3 ribs, 3 racks of ribs, 2 Boston butts, and 1 beef brisket. And what you get is what you get. It's already prepackaged in bags. It's already prepackaged in a black cooler bag, so you don't get a chance to pick and select and whatever. It's just everybody walks up there in line, and when it's your turn, they say the question that you get asked is thighs, legs, or wings. And whatever your answer is, they point you in the direction that those bags are. And what's in your bag is what's in your bag. You're not allowed to look and go through it and say, I don't want this one. It's just pick it up and go, So. Mm-hmm.
That's a fun contest. And I believe your first time on the podcast was 2 years ago after you won that contest, correct?
I think so. Yeah. Following the 2021 Grand Championship at that contest was my first time on the OBS podcast.
So that would have been 3 years ago then.
3 years ago. Yep. Mm-hmm.
3 years ago. Well, it's great that we have you on again this year as the 2024 Royal Oak Invitational champion.
So very exciting. I mean, obviously you winning any contest is always exciting. Winning one that is stacked top to bottom with hand selected teams, hand selected by Royal Oak is even more sweet, and winning one with the prize purse that they put up for it. They really take care of us. It's not just the prize purse. I mean, the whole purpose of this contest, they want their sponsor teams to cook a very competitive contest, but also they want us because they give to us all year, and they say we give to them, by our social media posts and results and whatnot. But they want us to come cook a very competitive contest against very competitive teams, and they really don't want us to have any expenses. That's their goal. They put us up in a hotel for 3 nights. There's no entry fee. All the proteins are provided. They provide dinner on Thursday night, breakfast, lunch, and dinner on Friday. breakfast on Saturday morning. They bring in the Waffle House to do an on-site catering on Saturday morning for breakfast for the cook teams. That's probably my favorite. Yeah, I love the good Waffle House though, but that's probably my favorite part of the contest is the Waffle House breakfast.
One of my favorite memories this year was the Waffle House that you and I went to.
Yeah.
But I'm not quite sure how a Waffle House catering works. What did they have on that?
They had waffles. They had the hash browns, grits, the scrambled cheese eggs, bacon. I can't remember if they have sausage patties or not. I don't typically do the sausage, but they may have. And then they had, I think they did some mushrooms maybe. But then they have the tea and the orange juice and coffee. And yeah, it's really good. Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. So you were in a good mood on the way down there. I spoke to you on the way down there, and
yep,
you had some good confidence going. And I know you got to take some good luck with you. I know Ashley was with you.
That's the first time she's been to that contest. Yeah, so she was able to go with me this time. And in years past, we've always had a conflict between her work or Kendall's soccer schedule, our son's soccer schedule. And this year we had no conflicts. So she was able to go, and she had a great time. But yeah, I had my good luck charm with me, and man, I just had some good vibes going. And this fall, I have felt like I've dialed my stuff back in a little bit, where I can go into a contest internally with a little more confidence versus a lot more question. When you question yourself is when you begin to go astray a whole lot, I think.
Yeah, right on. And that's, you're the only 2-time winner of that event, which is fantastic.
That is correct. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, it's quite an honor. I've been a Royal Oak team for probably close to 10 years now. I don't even know exactly how long it's been. It might be 10, might be more, but it's been an honor to be with them. They've always supplied us with great product, and if I've ever had any questions from Craig, the Barbecue Ninja, or anybody at Royal Oak, I mean, you send an email, buddy, you get a response back, and that's all you can ever ask for.
No, that's it. That's all you can ask for, and it's events like that keep people cooking barbecue and keep teams interested in companies that have have an investment in the teams and be able to give back to the teams and support them for all the support they get throughout the year is really a cool thing to see.
Yeah, it really is. Mm-hmm.
And you've had 2 wins here at the end of the year.
I've had 2 out of my last 3 were wins. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what do you mean you're not cooking the rest of the year? There's other stuff to go do. You're hot.
Well, the only thing left to really do that's I ain't gonna say the only thing. There's a couple of them that are drivable for me that are reasonable. Currituck, North Carolina is this weekend. It's roughly 3 hours from my house, and I was actually considering that contest. Kind of riding the hot streak was part of my motivation. Of course, and I'm not a points chaser, but the Team of the Year race is over for KCBS this year, so the excitement around that to start in November is not quite there for me.
Right.
But the reason I decided not to is the Southeastern Barbecue Association, formerly the GBC. I'm currently sitting in first place, and it's a calendar year race. And so I'm currently sitting in first place of Tier 2, I think. And if I go cook one more contest, results be damned, basically, I automatically bump up to Tier 1.
Oh.
And Tier 2 pays out, I think it's $1,000 for first place.
Hey.
So it's kind of like, I wasn't super motivated to go cook it. I'm more in hunting mode, but kind of riding a hot streak is always something I enjoy doing. And but then when I figured that out, I was like, yeah, I could just kind of sit pat and wait for that mailbox check. So I think there's one team that stands a chance of knocking me out of first place. And if they win this weekend or win or reserve, I think it is, then I might get knocked out of first place. But worst, I fall as second. So
who's that?
I think it's David Dick. I think Ham Squad is the only one that's in Tier 2 that can bump me out of first place.
Gotcha.
And I'm not 100% sure he's cooking it, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know that either. Well, that's a great way to end the year. You're back into the draw. You're back into the Royal for 2025.
Yep. Gonna be at the Royal in 2025. That's the plans right now. Got a bung in the Jack draw. It's a shame not having the Royal. I mean, the Invitational. They don't allow Invitational bungs. But it would be cool to have a bung for that. It'd be cool to get the points, from that contest in KCBS. But it is what it is, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. I enjoy that. I love that Royal Oak contest. To be a two-time winner is a real honor.
Well, and you were missed at the American Royal this past weekend.
I missed being there, Luke. I missed being there. I missed all the camaraderie that the Royal is. It's just so much fun. I think you and I have talked about it. Obviously, it's a major. It's a World Series of barbecue. You want to do well. You want to win it. But if you go there and the only thing you're hanging your hats on are the results from the actual contest itself, you're probably not going to enjoy the Royal for as much as the Royal can be enjoyed.
Right.
It's the Wednesday night, the golf on Thursday, if you do that thing, the Thursday night kind of traditions, and just the energy around that is what I love the most about it.
It was a fun Royal. It was at a different time of year, Halloween weekend, beginning of November.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool, kind of rainy. The rain sucked. But by and large, everybody had a really good time, it seemed like.
Yeah.
There were, I even hate to bring this up, but the scoring went well. There were no problems, which I know that anybody that's thought about it for 5 seconds didn't think was going to happen.
Right.
It was really cool. And, to be friends with both of the winners, Hot Daddy's Barbecue out of Minnesota, that was a great time. They were sitting right behind us at awards on Saturday night, and he won ribs, and I went over to give him a hug, and he is a large, strong man. And he beat the shit out of me when he gave me a hug, and kind of gave me a back adjustment, which I needed badly. But having them win on Saturday, and the celebration that happened after that, a bunch of us that knew him, we all got together at the Snake River Farms tent, and a couple of bottles of Pappy's were brought out, and we cooked up some Snake River Farms food. It was really, really cool. Yeah. And then Sunday, our neighbor won, Chunky Barbecue from Pennsylvania.
Definitely. They put in some miles this year, dude.
Yeah, and to win the American Royal Open and get the 35 points you need to win KCVS Team of the Year is pretty exceptional feat.
Right.
It's kind of a repayment for a lot of money spent and a lot of hard work, and it was pretty neat. His week did not start off great, I will tell you this, and I'm going to tell a story on John that I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to. So we had our fifth wheel delivered that we had rented, and John pulled in, and he was backing up, and for some reason he thought he had a lot of room, and he put that fifth wheel hitch right through the back of his trailer.
No.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't do any damage to the fifth wheel hitch, or it just went through the outer skin of his trailer, but we were all standing around like, what are you doing, dude? What are you doing?
Unfortunately, accidents happen.
Yeah, it was a weird Friday or Wednesday at the Royal. That happened. Ale had a new pit on a new truck, and they were unloading it, and the hitch wasn't attached. And that outlaw came down that ramp.
Oh, no.
Guys are trying to hold it, and I'm like, get the fuck out of the way. I've never seen an outlaw bounce before, but it definitely bounced.
Oh, no kidding.
And thank God nobody got hurt. It was definitely Freaky Wednesday at the Royal, and I know that I know that Chris Pinnell from Alia is going to be mad that I told that story on here, but yeah, it was it was a great time. Bill Purvis hosted his podcast on Wednesday night. Chicken Fried was on.
I need to go back and watch that if it's still available.
Yeah, I was on it. And I need to go watch it because you couldn't hear anything in that room. But he had probably over 30 people on it. So,
Jesus, yeah.
Yeah, it was just a good time. The Blues Hog Party was a lot of fun. The Snake River Farms Halloweeny roast was good. They'd had trick or treating for the kids on Halloween. Just a great time. Just a great time. And
an impromptu costume contest, wasn't there?
There was a costume contest, and there was a team that showed up as zombie turn-in boxes, which basically was heads inside of styrofoam boxes with kale all around their necks. That was the winner. But I would be remiss if I did not give a shout out to JP of Bourbon and Blues.
If you weren't going to, I was, because I was about to bring up the fact that you were in the contest, but you were not in the contest.
Correct. And JP had he was the ghost pooper. He came dressed as a person sitting on a toilet and was wearing an Old Virginia Smoke t-shirt.
That's so awesome.
And it was tremendous. It was one of the funniest stories. I was over at Jeff and Darren's, and Shannon Turner from Mötley Crüe come over and grabbed my hand and said, "I need you right now." And I thought, man, what's going on? Is Brian in trouble? What's happening? She dragged me through the crowd, and then there was JP in his costume, and I about died laughing. It was hilarious. But yeah. We had a really good cook on Saturday. We had an exceptional cook on Sunday. But like we were saying earlier, sometimes at the Royal, the cards just don't fall your way. And we didn't hit the good tables. We did get a 15th place sausage. So we did get to walk the stage, which was a lot of fun. We had, again, another great crew with us, Rick and Liz Hamilton, Hambones by the Fire. Todd Bullock from Hey Grill Hey, Susie Bullock's husband, he came and helps us with a lot of stuff.
That's super cool.
Yeah, help with running boxes and stuff. And
I've yet to meet her. I'm looking forward to meeting her at some point.
She is fantastic.
I've heard you talk about her a lot. She seems super nice, and follow her on Instagram and some of her social media, and she seems really cool.
Yeah, and Todd's awesome too, and he was super helpful. So was Rick and Liz. They do everything that needs to be done to make sure we're successful. Sunday's cook is probably one of my top 5 of all time.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and that's all you can do.
And our point about the majors, you can have, and you've cooked enough contests and have been successful enough to know when it has been your top 5 contest.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to win the American Royal Open.
Right.
It means that you did all you could do to put yourself in the best position possible to make that happen, but doesn't mean that you're going to win it or whatever. You very easily could have.
Right.
But that's all you can do. Have the fun, enjoy the memories, make all the memories, and then give yourself the best chance you can at the contest. That should be the motto for every contest, but especially the majors.
Yeah, and we've already started thinking about next year and what we're going to do and how we're going to set up, and it's just one of those things. I'm glad I'm already qualified for it. For next year, I don't have any bungs for the Jacks, so that's the first thing to do is get back in that draw.
Yeah,
and so barbecue plans for the off season. This was a big topic last year. What's your plan this year?
So I'm going to talk about this season a little bit. It's going to lead into what my plans are for the off season. So I started out the year, the calendar year of 2024, should I say, which for me was the beginning of the barbecue year for me, because I didn't do anything November, December either last year, and I typically don't. But I started out the year having a pretty good year. I think I finished 3rd or 4th overall at Missions Farms earlier in the year, and had a little run there in the spring, late spring, where I think I reserved three out of 4 contests or 3 out of 5, something like that. And then I kind of hit a little bit of a lull this summer where the results weren't what I wanted or what I would, and my cooks weren't all that great either. And I had a little bit of a come to Jesus with myself going into the fall. I had a break there of 3 weeks, and I just kind of went back and looked at some old notes and my notes and class notes, and had a few conversations with some people. You were one of them, and had a few conversations with some other people and on what was going on. And what I deemed is not necessarily that I need to change anything that I was doing. I really just needed to focus in on my processes. And I had gotten myself, and I do this sometimes in the summer. I had gotten into a groove of just going through the motions, and not that I wasn't paying attention, but it's kind of like, the ribs are close. I think they'll be fine. Right. Oh, I forgot this seasoning. Screw it. I'll just grab this other one that I've never used before, and I'll try it on the pork butt this weekend. I don't have time to order, or whatever. And so I kind of got into a little bit of that lull of just going through the motions. Things are supposed to be off around about this time, and it seems to be pretty close. I'll just go up to Cambro and let it finish. And this fall, I said, you know what? Let me dial in and actually focus on my cook. And that's what I did to finish the last 3 or 4 contests. Was I didn't just go through the motions. It was completed 100% focus, start to finish, from Friday's prep to Saturday morning light in the pit to let the meat tell you what needs to happen. If it's ready, it's ready. If it's not, it's not. And then honestly, finishing, I was kind of going through the motions as well. Slicing money mussels that were not where they needed to be, might be overcooked, and putting them in the box anyway. Just because, and in the last 3 or 4 contests, I really focused on putting in the box what I wanted to be judged, not just what I deemed necessary in my mind to be in the box, or you're going to do poorly. And that really was a big difference maker for me. And so my mindset shift in planning for 2025 is my pork process. I want to dial in a little bit more. I'm not really, I'm confident in it, but I'm not confident in week in and week out that it's going to be exactly what I want it to be. I am with the other 3 meats. I'm very happy with where I sit with those. A couple little tweaks and changes I made. So my mindset for 2025 is going to be on focus from start to finish. And I really want to dial in my pork process to be a little bit more consistent.
Right on. Yeah, it's, we're coming off a year where we never really put all 4 together.
Right.
Maybe
it's hard to do. It's so hard to do.
It is. Maybe the best we did all year was in Wise, Virginia, where we RGC'd. All 4 were right there. But, if I go to barbecue data and look, we've finished inside the top 25 in all 4 categories in KCBS this year.
And that's an incredible feat within itself.
Thank you. And that's something that we've never done.
Right. That's so hard to do, man.
Yeah. I mean, so it's not like I can point really to a meat where there's a problem. It's just, what am I doing to where they're not landing consistently? And, and so I always develop a plan on what I'm going to work on. I can tell you, I think I'm going to work on burn ends this offseason.
Okay.
I think they are making a comeback, just from what I'm hearing. I'm going to work on that. I'm going to take a class this offseason, which is something I haven't done in a few years. I just think it's great to get into somebody else's process to get you out of your own and see if maybe there's some little tweaks or little things that I'm not thinking about.
So that's a good point there, Luke. And I want to touch on that for just a minute. For somebody that's cooking or wants to cook or is just getting started, taking classes are phenomenal. Go to write down every detail of every recipe and try to follow it if you like it and make it your own. For those of us that have cooked for a very long time, people sometimes say, why are you going to go take a class? Like, you're really going to change up everything? No, I'm not. I'm going to go find a little tweak somewhere. I'm going to go find a little something. And really, I want to hear the statements that's being made by this person that I can log in my memory, so that if I run down the contest circuit somewhere and I have a weekend where it's 42 degrees and raining sideways, and I'm going, what in the world is going on? And I can go back to that story and go, I remember when so-and-so said they had this situation and they did X, Y, or Z, those are the things that you pick up when you're a very experienced cook that's been doing it a long time, like we both have. And I'm no legend like you are, but but it's the same thing, right? You're not necessarily going for start to finish complete recipes. It's the little nuances of those recipes and techniques, really, that can make a large difference in your world.
Right. And I'm like you. I want to hear the methodology. I want to hear the statement. Like, I think that is something, I want to hear that. I want to feel the tenderness. I want to taste the tenderness. I want to hear whoever's class I take, talk about the tenderness. It's one of the things that I'm doing in my class, which is December 14th and 15th. For anyone that's interested, there's still seats.
It's a great class if anybody signs up for it.
I spend more time talking about mindset and process and why I do things than I do other reasons. It's one of those things where teaching, I can show you all the rubs and the process and everything, but if you don't know why, but also if you don't know how to be that morning, it doesn't matter. Right. If you're not into it, you're not into it.
So I think we both have cooks where we've taught each other, and it's just kind of like ho hum. I'm not here mentally, and there's a mental component to that. Does it affect how your brisket tastes? I can't say there's a direct correlation, but it definitely affects how you cook that brisket.
Absolutely. And there's a lot that I've learned this year about, both through success and failure is mindset and attitude and how, that translates into what you're doing. There's a lot of, like I'll give a very brief Royal example. Our sausage cook was an absolute nightmare shit show at the Royal, but it was funny to all of us and we had fun doing it. And we ended up getting a call with it. And I cannot help but think that because that was so much fun and because we were laughing the whole time, that is the reason that we may have gotten a call in that. Not to mention the fact that the end product was really good. But
the end product has to be good, but you didn't put you and your team, because you had a large team there, y'all didn't put any undue stress on yourself over that.
No, we actually detracted stress from it and just made it fun. And it's a ridiculous thing that happened, but it's it worked out. We'll probably try and do it again next year. We'll probably finish 100th, and that's fine. But
who cares, man? Who cares?
It doesn't matter. It was a good time.
Have fun with it.
It was a good time. So that's 2025 is going to look a lot different for us. We won't be having this conversation about being in the top 25 in all 4 categories next year because I'm not going to cook as much as I did this year. We're going to be dialing it back a little bit. I say that now.
You said this last year, I believe, on just about the same day when we were having this.
Hey, you got to stick with traditions, Brian.
I understood. Understood.
One of the things that I always look at, though, at the end of the year on barbecue data is I go in and I look at my meats and I look at the averages, right?
I think that's a good idea.
I look at my score averages and, everything is above a 171, almost a 172.
Yeah. You can. My goal every year is to have all 4 categories finish in the 170s on my yearly average. If I do that, I've probably had a successful year for me. I don't cook enough to be in the team of the year running. Like it takes to be in the top 5. I don't cook enough for that, and quite honestly, I don't want to cook enough for that.
Right.
I just don't. Kudos to those that can, and kudos to those that do. It's fun watching them every year, whoever it ends up being. It really is fun, but I don't want to do it. But if I can finish all 4 categories in the 170s on average, I've probably had a pretty successful year for me for Smokin Skullies.
Yeah, and we always talk about that defining success.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the year, it became pretty. We were having fun this year. We were having a good time. Obviously, we wanted to spend a lot of time getting ready for the majors at the end of the year. But one of the things we really wanted when it got down to it was, can we finish in the top 25 in all 4 meets? And luckily, we were able to pull that out. So it was pretty cool. That's
really cool, and that's so incredibly difficult. It's not even funny. I mean, some may not realize how hard that is, but that is incredibly difficult to do. So congratulations to you and Kim on that.
Thank you.
And anybody that helped you along the way throughout the year.
Oh, lots of people, lots of companies. But yeah, I mean, looking forward, I guess there's one other thing I should probably bring up that I'm doing here at the end of this year and potentially for a few years coming, and that's I've been nominated to run for the KCBS Board of Directors.
Have you?
I have.
Okay.
So I've accepted that nomination and we'll be on the ballot, hopefully. So
okay. Well, I think you would be a great addition to the KCBS Board of Directors, both as a cook and as with your work experience, your resume. I think that's a very natural fit.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't know that I worked in nonprofit management and organizations for 25 years prior to starting my barbecue company. So I know a lot about particularly membership and non-dues revenue and sponsorship. And I really think those are going to be the areas where I can help KCBS the most. So we'll see what happens. Can't believe I'm going to say this, but vote for Luke.
You're a little when you brought it up a couple of weeks back, you were a little hesitant about that possibility.
I was, because I know the time commitment and I know how I am with these type of things. Like, I don't do it just 20%. This will be a big part of my life if I am elected. And but I think it's time. I think it's time to give back. I think it's time to get in there and work with Rod and his team. It's a really great team. Rod's a really great person, and I look forward to working with him if I get elected. So
I think Rod's a great guy, and I think he's been great for KCBS, honestly.
Me too. So, all right, my friend. Well, that's our year wrap. We're probably going to, because it is the off season, we're probably going to get back into, we've been doing a lot of structural changes on the back end of this podcast.
Okay.
So you're going to see some stuff coming out here in the next few weeks in terms of probably being a static show at a certain time and being live on the internet. You'll probably see some other recordings, remote recordings from some different places. I know Brian and I have a special event coming up in about a month where he and I will probably go live from if we're allowed to. I just think we're just going to continue. We might be a little bit more structured, but we're just going to continue to do what we do and have fun and just provide some barbecue joy, provide some sunshine. So
there we go.
Thank you guys, everybody, for listening. Thank you for supporting the podcast. And Brian, good luck deer hunting. You sent me a video of the one you missed this weekend. That is shameful.
Yep. Yep. Going back next weekend for him again, though. Hopefully.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
Yeah, going back next weekend for him. So
hopefully nobody gets it before that.
I hope not, man. There was one killed last night, but it wasn't him. So they sent a picture, and I was so scared to open that picture up, and I opened it up, and it wasn't him. But it was.
It's funny you sent that. video. And then yesterday morning, I took Odin out down to the gas line just to go poop. And we came up on 2 bucks fighting.
No kidding.
Which I have never seen before.
I've actually never seen that in real life myself.
And they're fighting, and he's staring at him, and he doesn't know what to do. And then finally, he just starts giving them hell. I mean, and these 2 deer, they had antlers locked.
Mm-hmm.
And they both turned and stared at him like, what are you going to do? And he stopped barking, and he turned around, and he came back to me, and he's like, yeah, I don't want any of that. It was pretty cool. So, all right, my friend, happy off season. I'm sure we're going to have you on this winter co-hosting and doing some fun stuff. So
it's going to be fun. I can't finish the year-end recap without thanking my sponsors, if you don't mind me.
No, please do.
I'll be doing that. They stay with me all year, so I wanted to give them a proper send-off for our 2024 season. And, obviously we talked about it earlier, but Royal Oak Charcoal, been with them 10-plus years, I think. So very, very proud of that. Heath Riles Barbecue, his seasonings and rubs, sauces, great sauces and rubs, local barbecue supply store here in Goldsboro, North Carolina. They've been a big supporter of mine, and want to shout them out. And Heritage Wood and Tree Services, Tree and Arborist Services, which I think you've been cooking their wood too.
Thanks for saying that out loud.
I'm gonna tell you what, it's been. Sorry, but
no, my guy is awesome. He's awesome.
Yeah. So,
he's your guy, but now he's my guy too.
Really enjoyed that, and it's been super consistent. I can't blame it. And obviously, Flagship Realty Group.
There you go.
So, but yeah, thanks for the sponsors. I really appreciated the partners, business partners, whatever you want to call it. It would be a lot more difficult without them.
Absolutely. And I'm going to go ahead and thank mine too. Snake River Farms, incredible partnership we have with them. Compart Duroc, great pork. Sorry we didn't get a call this weekend, but we really thought we would have, especially on ribs on Sunday. Gateway Drum Smokers, Blues Hog, you guys are the best. You guys know you're the best, and it's just 2 of the best products out there. Big Papa Smokers, incredible rubs, and of course, Barbecue Data. Barbecue Data powers this podcast. So, and I'll tell you right now, Barbecue Data's got a lot of cool stuff coming up here in the near future. So
I'm excited to see that. That's a unsung resource a lot of times that people don't talk about. You no longer have to keep spreadsheets anymore. You can simply go to Barbecue Data, man, and go back in history, which is really good. So it's what Mark does over there, Barbecue Data, is really cool.
Fantastic. Yep. So, all right. We'll see you guys this off season. We'll be going back weekly and keep on cooking.
Fantastic. Thanks, Lou. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for listening to Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. Be sure to subscribe and like the podcast, rate the podcast, and to share it out with your friends. Also, be sure to check out the Old Virginia Smoke TikTok as well. Old Virginia Smoke, one word. That's all you have to search for. It's hilarious. Tune in next week for another great episode of Pitmaster. For companies interested in advertising, please contact Old Virginia Smoke directly via www.oldvirginiasmoke.com. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is edited by Chris Sedanka. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is a property of Old Virginia Smoke, LLC.
Old Virginia Smoke. Old Virginia. Old Virginia Smoke. Oh, yes. Old Virginia. Old Virginia Smoke.